Once upon a time, you used to have to drive yourself to get a license. Now, you have to do 120 hours and 5,000 tests to maybe get half of a license or a P plate. Once upon a time, you used to work and then get paid. Now, you actually work and then you pay the government. Once upon a time, you used to go to school to learn how to read and write. Now you go to school to learn political correctness and different ideologies. Once upon a time, if your kid did the wrong thing, you could correct them. Now, if you are seen to use the wrong pronoun, you run the risk of being sued. So, what's the difference between once upon a time and now? The big chasm between now and then is not time or money or even that times have changed. The difference is that people don't express their rights. Let me explain. You see, you have rights, they're called inalienable rights. They are rights that a baby is born with, and no law, no tax, no legislation is allowed to take those rights away from a person. You have those rights: the right to earn money, the right to travel freely, the right to speak or not speak, the right to be happy, the right to freedom, the right to a clean environment, and many, many more rights. Do you ever stop and wonder why your rights are not keeping quite their form that they once used to? Why is that? One fundamental truth: your rights are only your rights if you express them. If you don't express your rights, you actually don't have them. The problem between them and now has not been an eroding of rights, it's been a, a decline in your expression of your rights. You see, you do have rights. The government's not taken your rights away from you. They have simply made it uncomfortable and inconvenient for you to express them. You have the right to travel right now freely. You don't even need a license to do this. But by repeatedly sending you unlawful fines, they make it difficult for you to express your right to travel freely. You have the right to acquire property, but by asking you for vehicle tax, stamp duty, and council rates, they're making it harder and harder for you to express your right to own these things. You have the right to remain silent, yet when the officer pulls you over, you feel intimidated into speaking and saying something that incriminates you in court. Do you see the issue? You don't have a rights problem, you have an expression problem. Unfortunately, if we as a society do not learn how to express our rights, then we can confidently expect that the trajectory we are going on is going to continue. What does this look like to you? Removing the right to travel, own your own stuff, or speak freely. It looks a lot like our communistic neighbours, doesn't it? Maybe I'm just being facetious, but if something looks like a duck, smells like a duck, and acts like a duck, isn't it a duck? Did you know that in North Korea, you have no access to the internet? Did you know that in most people in North Korea don't know that there are actually other countries in the world? That the government just won't allow the schools to teach this stuff. And did you know that in North Korea you can eat only what the authorities say you can eat? Did you know that in North Korea you can't trust your neighbor or your friend because they might dob you in for speaking out of line or for a bowl of rice? I know we're not in North Korea, but is it not true that when you are on a path going somewhere, sooner or later you end up arriving where you were going? So, how do we hold on to our rights? How do we express them? The first thing is we learn to say no. We do the uncomfortable, we do the inconvenient, and we learn to stand up for ourselves. I'm not suggesting that you burn your bra or tie yourself to a tree. But could you politely tell the officer that you just don't answer questions? Could you say no to unnecessary and unlawful taxes? Could you refuse to buy into the bullying and the harassment that comes in your mailbox? The answer is yes, you can. And in fact, people are doing it right now. There's probably more people doing this than you realize. It's a huge movement. People all over Australia are expressing their rights right now. Thousands of them. It's just that you don't know about them. It's a bit like North Koreans who have no idea that freedom is just outside the border. The Living Council is made up of people who express their rights thoughtfully, confidently, and respectfully. I'm not saying it's easy to protect your rights, but I am saying that it's worth it. If you don't do it, who will?